All right, so let's start with the big story that we are tracking on WION at this hour. The U.S. Capitol Police have asked the Pentagon to extend the deployment of the National Guard for additional 2 months. Now, the National Guard troops have in fact been guarding the U.S. Capitol since the 6th of January siege of the Capitol. Currently, there are said to be as many as about 5,200 National Guard troops deployed around the building. The mission was set to end on the 12th of March, and reports say that the Pentagon has now received formal request, and it is highly likely that it will be approved. Now, the Department of Homeland Security and the Federal Bureau of Investigation recently issued a bulletin. It said an unidentified group of violent militia extremists discussed plans in the month of February to take control of the U.S. Capitol and remove the Democrat lawmakers on or before the 4th of March. Now, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said that the National Guard troops protecting the Capitol should stay as long as they are needed. She also said that a draft security review from the 6th of January attack is making various recommendations to beef up the security at the Capitol.
Issue about the National Guard is one that will be made by the Capitol Police and the Police Board and the rest, but I'm not in a position to respond to that. But we should have them here as long as they are needed. And the silliness of this being Inauguration Day and that in May the president will be inaugurated falls into the realm of let's not waste our time on it. But in terms of that, what we need, we have to have what we need when we need it, and in the numbers that we need it, but that's a security decision.
And also, White House's Press Secretary Yensaki said that the U.S. President Joe Biden is deeply engaged in tracking threats against the United States Capitol Hill. However, she did not elaborate on what additional steps the White House is presently taking to counter the threat.
It's something he is personally engaged in. It's reflected in the comprehensive review he ordered in his first week of the job. He's also a diligent and an eager consumer of intelligence. And as you'd expect, appropriate elements of the intelligence community and law enforcement are providing a steady pace of information and analysis on a regular basis on domestic violent extremism in the country.
Meanwhile, followers of the QAnon conspiracy theory gathered near the Capitol on Thursday. Followers of the conspiracy theory were just simply outnumbered by the security forces who were deployed to deter any possible attack or a repeat of what happened on the 6th of January. Now, the National Guard troops patrolled the area where Trump's loyalists had unleashed violence just about a couple of months ago. Now, the 4th of March is the day that the QAnon conspiracy theorists believed that the former U.S. President Donald Trump would have been sworn in for a second term in office. Now, remember, until 1933, the 4th of March was in fact the official date of the presidential inauguration. And some conspiracy theorists also believe that the military will restore Donald Trump to power by the end of the month. Remember, federal prosecutors have charged more than 300 people for their involvement in storming of the U.S. Capitol building. And those include members of the armed militia groups like the Oath Keepers, the 3%ers, and even the Proud Boys. All right, now to give us more insights in terms of what's actually unfolding in the United States, we are joined in by our correspondent Nick Harper, who's joining us live from Washington, D.C. Nick, it's rather interesting, for people who are looking at what is unfolding in the United States from outside of America. Now, this 4th of March date was rather puzzling. And also, one would believe that the Capitol Hill would be one of the most safely guarded places anywhere on earth. And here we are talking about whether the National Guard troops have been deployed. The Capitol need to actually have an extension.
States of America. To say your Pledge of Allegiance. I want you came here to support your country.
All right, there seems to be a bit of an issue with the line there with Nick Harper. We'll try and get my colleague Nick back in just a bit. But this is what is being talked about at this point of time. Remember, there are these conspiracy theorists. There are these groups which are fairly vocal, that make a lot of noise, although their numbers might be fairly small, such as the QAnon group, that believed that 4th of March would have been the date that Donald Trump would have been brought back to the White House. Now, the reason why this is significant is because till the year 1933, the inauguration of the president was on the 4th of March and not on the 20th of January, as is now practiced. So a lot of people within the intelligence circles expected that there is a possibility that you could have people turning up in front of the Capitol, pretty much like what happened on the 6th of January, who could perhaps pose a threat to try and repeat what was done the 6th of January, because they were expecting that Donald Trump could be brought back in as the president. But all of this is, of course, a part of these conspiracy theorists who have been talking a lot about this particular date, and I'm told that we have my colleague Nick Harper back with us on the line. Now, Nick, the question that I asked you was, before the line, we could not hear what you were saying. Why is it that Capitol, that many people would expect would be one of the most safely guarded places on earth, there is this talk now whether the National Guard troops who've been deployed there, whether they need to have an extension given for them?
Well, that plot that had been talked about by conspiracy theorists online failed to materialise. There was no attack on the Capitol during the course of today, but clearly law enforcement officials are concerned that there could be potential threats and plots and attacks in the coming weeks, and that's why they're asking for this extension, to keep those some 5,000 National Guard troops that were deployed to DC remain around the Capitol building to make sure that it is secure and that lawmakers are protected. I was down at the Capitol just yesterday, and it is an incredible scene. They've still got the steel barriers, the fencing right around the Capitol Hill perimeter. They've got the razor wire on top, and dotted all the way along that fence are National Guard troops watching over the Capitol building. It's quite an eerie scene, but I think it does suggest really the seriousness that the intelligence officials feel that there is this continued credible possibility that there could be a plot. There has been talk about one potentially coinciding with Joe Biden's first address to the joint session of Congress. That's when both the House and the Senate gather in the same chamber. The president would be speaking to them. There has been concern that there would potentially be a plot for that upcoming speech.
All right. Now, do stay on with this, because I want you to weigh in on the other big story that we are...